Gormick, when it comes to fire safety, our captain from the Fire and Rescue Services is back. Good to see you, sir.
Thanks very much.
You've got the barbecue out here. We're looking at Russell Kate's forecast. Things are going to warm up if we're using the grill for the first time in a while. We need to do some checks to make sure we're safe. Where do we start?
The first thing I would say is the tank. Have a look at your tank. Just check for any cracks, any big rust patches, anything that makes it look like it might not be appropriate for holding a whole lot of flammable gas. Dispose of it properly, buy a new one if it doesn't look right, and then when you take it to the fill station, they'll check that it's been tested properly and it's okay for use after that. But just a quick visual check. Have a look at the hose, make sure there's no cracks, no bubbles or anything like that. Just generally look at your barbecue and make sure it looks in good condition, because you are using a flammable gas.
Well, the thing that I like with the setup is the position of the barbecue itself, quite the distance from the wall. And is this a common flaw that you see, that people put it right against the house when they're firing the grill up?
Yeah, that's a common way we see house fires, is barbecues that have been placed too close to things like siding that gets hot and catches fire, or wood siding, wood fence, something like that. So the minimum is 1 meter from any combustible surfaces, but really the further away the better.
You've got some supplies here with the soap, with the water. What's a good way to test if the hose itself is actually leaking?
Just a quick check is to hook up your propane tank, pressurize it, and then with a bottle that's half water, half soap, spray the hose, spray the connection, wait a couple of minutes and watch for any bubbles or anything like that. And that tests both the hose and the connection with the tank to make sure that there's no propane that's leaking out that could catch fire.
And worst case scenario, you've got the fire extinguisher as backup. A couple of reminders there?
Yeah, absolutely. You should have one in the kitchen anyway, but especially if you're using something like a barbecue, have one accessible.
Okay, now the lid is closed right now. I made this mistake years ago of firing it up with the lid closed. What's the helpful reminder to avoid the fireball coming at your face?
Fire it up with the lid open, because you need a good air-fuel mixture to get it burning. So open the lid, turn on the fuel, turn on the valve, stick your lighter in, and if it doesn't light after a few tries, stop, let the gas dissipate, and then try again in a few minutes.
And what are we looking at for the grill, keeping it clean, the amount of food we're putting on the grill to avoid any sparks getting more enraged?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the season check, like I said, just make sure everything looks like it's in good condition. If the burner's really rusty, maybe replace it or replace the whole barbecue. But in general, a clean barbecue is a great thing, because the grease can build up inside, and that's what leads to those huge fireballs in barbecues that we see, is the grease building and building and building, and then finally catches fire and is out of control.
And always being by the grill, not just leaving it, going back inside and then coming back to check on it?
Right, never leaving the grill alone, because that's a quick way that something can catch fire and get out of control. At least if you see flare-ups happening, you can turn down the heat, turn it right off, let it cool down a bit, but things can get out of control really quickly, because the hotter the food gets, the more grease it lets go, the more fuel there is for the fire. And just keep in mind, if you're cooking greasy foods like chicken thighs or things like that, limit the amount you put on the grill at any one time. Keep an eye on it, because they do drip off a lot of grease. Speaking of someone who almost burnt down a fire hall with chicken.
Oh, wow. All right. Decorations, things around the grill, what to be aware of in the space, even if it's away from the house itself?
Yeah, like I said, keep it away from any combustible surfaces like walls, but also keep it away from vegetation, away from gardens, away from hedges, anything like that, and really keep kids away too. Teach them early that they never know when the barbecue is hot, so never, never, never touch the barbecue, even if they think it might be off.
Average lifespan of the tank itself?
The tanks last 5 years before they have to be tested, but whoever fills your tank will check the date on it to make sure it's been tested. If it's not, they will take it, and you'll either have to buy a new one or a replacement, and then it goes off, it gets tested, and then it's re-stamped and ready for use again.
Great information right here. Jonathan, thanks for coming by.
Thanks very much.
I'll fire up the grill. I'll handle the chicken maybe next time around. Thanks for the info. We'll take a break. Russell Kate's got that weather forecast coming.